Well, hi there. My name is Rian, and if you did not know, you now know something new, and I am glad to be the one that taught you something today. It has been a while, but that's mostly because I have kind of a weird schedule, and I've had a weird schedule, and it's kind of hard to nail things down now. But, I'm still committed to just kind of, life happens kind of stuff. My hair is black at the moment, and I haven't filmed with it, but by association, especially with my eyebrows, I have just noticed that it looks really weird on camera. It kind of looks like my eyebrows are colored in a lot darker than they are. And to speak the converse of that, they actually match my hair now, as opposed to if I left my natural hair color. So there's that. But hey, it's been a while, you guys. I kind of miss you guys a lot. It takes a lot of time to film and edit sometimes, so I'm tremendously sorry that I made this commitment and put myself out in the world, and now I'm just really crap at keeping up with it, because I really like doing this. I've had so many arguments in classes recently, and I think it's so fun to argue with people, especially because they're usually wrong and I'm right. Side note before I get to that, I went to Starbucks a while ago and I decided to keep the cup. I just realized my freaking water bottle's in the frame. Great. Anyway, I decided to keep the cup because it was just so tremendously horrible and off that I was like, I guess I have another new name that I was never aware of. I've obviously gotten Aaron, and then there's times at home where I use Rian, just because I want to be pretentious like that. But this was a new level of holy shit, someone really just misheard my name. So I kept the cup, I washed it out and everything like that, because it's just so funny, and also I with my friends on, and then it was just kind of like a good memory in my mind, because I thought it was funny. But this shit straight up says Garrett. Garrett. It's literally like white culture has just started to appropriate me. It's brought up a lot to me that a lot of people don't know what nationality I am or what ethnicity I am and stuff like that. Maybe because I dye my hair so frequently and I have a very inconsistent skin tone and color. It's not very associated with certain things. I mean, obviously there's a lot more blatantly Caucasian people over here in this part of Texas, but there's a few moments where people get a little misled on what I am. So I think it's pretty funny, in my opinion. It's become a topic of more discussion in class because I'm in communications, so you always talk about how to speak and how to approach different cultures and demographics and stuff like that. Inevitably, I would end up having conversations about ethnicities and demographics and which ones we align ourselves with and how and how we can interpret information that's supposed to be, and how we interpret all this kind of info thrown at us or media thrown at us that's supposed to be digested by our specific demographics. So I identify as Hispanic, obviously, because both my parents are Hispanic themselves. I always make jokes saying that they're basically full-blown Mexican, and that's because obviously my mom was raised in El Paso and my dad was born in California, raised for some of his life, if not most, or a good majority of his childhood in Mexico, and then rural parts of Texas, California, stuff like that. In my mind, I have a pretty thoroughly Mexican family, immediate family, and then there's my extended family, which are obviously remnants and parts of my parents' lives and upbringing that ended up shaping me when I was younger, growing up and stuff like that, because they were the adult. They talk about it in the movie Selena. Selena's dad, played by Edward James Olmos, right? That's his name. They talk about the struggles of being Mexican American and how you're never shit. I need to insert the thing here. This is the clip from Selena.
Listen, being Mexican American is tough. Anglos jump all over you if you don't speak English perfectly. Mexicans jump all over you if you don't speak Spanish perfectly. We gotta be twice as perfect as anybody else. Why are you laughing? What's so funny?
Nothing.
I'm serious.
Our
family has been here for centuries, and yet they treat us as if we just swam across the Rio Grande. I mean, we gotta know about John Wayne and Pedro Infante. We gotta know about Frank Sinatra and Agustin Lara. We gotta know about Oprah and Christina. Anglo food is too bland, and yet when we go to Mexico, we get the runs. Now that, to me, is embarrassing.
So yeah, there's this concept that being a Mexican American, you have to be super Mexican and you have to know Spanish for the Mexicans, otherwise you're not even a real Mexican. And for the Americans, you have to speak perfect English and you have to have this inflection that there's no accent behind what you're saying. And if there is an accent, it has to be something that's identifiable as American and not that that accent that's present when you learn Spanish as your first language, because a lot of times there are people that have accents that spoke Spanish first and then learned English, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. If anything, most of the people in my life have had some sort of an accent like that, and I've never differentiated I've never typecast them as anything less than me. Like, that's not how I quantify people. I quantify them based on their worth, like how they work, what they provide me in their and with their lives and stuff like that. Like, you know, I'm a normal human being, not prejudiced, like, based on someone's skin color. So I don't know, I feel like it's been more condescending to me. Like, I always make jokes about it because I'm someone that's very self-deprecatory. I always put down traits that I recognize I have, because at the end of the day, that's what I am and that's who I am. And if I can make fun of myself, like, obviously people are gonna find it, like, okay to poke fun at me or poke fun at themselves too. And that's like a sign of people showing that they're comfortable around me too and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm not someone that gets offended easily, like most of the people of my generation. But I think after 20 years, and this is gonna be my 21st year of life, I am actually getting annoyed. I don't know what else I could do to exude that I am my culture and not feel prejudiced by any other culture that wants to align themselves with me. So a lot of people sometimes still do assume that I am white, Caucasian, of European descent. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I also want them to understand too that when I say I'm not trying to demean them. And then when I also say that I'm Hispanic, that I don't ideally align myself with the same values or same desires and loves and affinities that most Mexican Americans or most Mexicans do either. I've always been able to categorize myself as anomalous. I do not exactly fall in line with any particular established cliches. Other than for a while when I was younger, I really liked a lot of feminine things, so I guess that could be seen as archetypical gay boy, right? But I find it kind of offensive. I love my culture so much, and I love my last name so much, even though if some people watching this think my last name is actually Rian, I'm sorry to burst that bubble, it's not. I love my last name so tremendously much, and it's not that I hide it or anything for this channel, it's just that Rian stemmed from something else that my friends back home told me, so then I kept it because Aaron and Ryan sounded good together. So think of it more like a first name, middle name kind of thing. I'm very proud to be Mexican American. I am very proud to be Hispanic. Sometimes some people categorize Mexican Americans as just Mexican. I'm not from Mexico, unfortunately. But I will still take that claim if they'll have me as a country. There are so many things in Mexican and Mexican American culture that I am super proud of. All the struggle they went through, all the struggle my family went through, my abuelitas, my abuelos. I am super proud of the origin that my family has come from. I just wish there was less of a double standard of you have to do this, this, and this to be viewed in your own culture as good enough or as even Mexican enough. I'm sorry that I don't like menudo. I'm sorry that I just never fully grasped the concept of Spanish to speak it well enough. Unfortunately, I spent the first 8 years of my life in Kansas where everyone pretty much only spoke exclusive English to me, and I was taught that I needed to get this language down. So the way that I talk, the way that I inflect, the way that I over-enunciate things is because I was raised just speaking English. That was it. The only time I heard Spanish was sometimes when my parents were talking about me and my sister, or the rare occasion that I would go visit El Paso before I actually moved there. When I got past that and actually got to El Paso, my communication was obviously just English, and that's all I had. I never had an upbringing with just Spanish, and so from there it kind of I prioritized the things that I needed to learn, and then that stems from like what my parents said I needed to learn. So I learned everything good enough to get A's and B's and stuff like that. So I learned Spanish well enough to write, well enough to understand, but never well enough to speak. I am no less than any other Mexican American just because I don't speak Spanish, don't like menudo, and so on. I would love for future kids of mine to have my last name, or at least have some remnant of their culture in their last name, because it's a thing that made me who I am, that made my parents who they are, and their parents who they are. and it's my whole ethics system and value. I don't know, why am I venting about this? It's come up so much recently that I feel, and my family has made it a point sometimes, especially when I was younger, my extended family, not my parents and stuff like that they believed I was always ashamed of my culture, and I never ever gave off that vibe. I love being Mexican American. It's made me a stronger person, and it's given me my humor. Like, everything I poke fun at is because of Mexican culture. I don't know what I need to do, but somehow I'll find a way to do something in English, because ultimately that's who I am. I am a shitty Mexican American that tried for multiple years, almost a decade, of learning Spanish, not being able to communicate it verbally or very well written. Sorry. I want to do something. I'm going to do a creative project. I don't know what it is. I never have the time to do things, but I will always find a way to make things work. I want to do something that shows that I can be just as proud of being Mexican American and not being able to verbally speak Spanish. I have never been someone that detracts the language of Spanish, ever saying that it is a ugly language, because it is one of the most beautiful languages, and I mean, it's so close to Latin itself, and Latin is like the father of all languages, that I would never demean it. If anything, I take pride in that. I take pride that Spanish resembles Latin and came from Latin almost verbatim for most words, because who run the world? Mexicans. Duh. I'm sorry, Spaniards, Venezuelans, Puerto Ricans, other Hispanics that think they're the shit. At the end of the day, I'll always think Mexicans, and Mexican Americans are the best Hispanics. Latinos. I've always been someone that's very proud of my culture, being gay, and I guess to some degree it's just looked like this to other people, like my family, that I was never proud of embracing being Hispanic. But when you grow up in El Paso too, somewhere where everyone is basically Mexican or Mexican American, it's kind of hard to just always be like, oh yeah, I'm Mexican, I'm proud of it, especially because then there's the Mexicans that detract you and say that you're not as good or equal to because you don't do certain things. And I mean, hey, white people, that Anglo-Saxon, Caucasians, I mean, I'm nothing against you. I'm just not part of your culture, and I'd rather not culturally appropriate you guys by taking on that title of Caucasian when people tell me they think I'm white or put me down as white. What the fuck was this video? I don't know. I went in circles with my logic. At least it's so like, there's a lot of lighting in here today, so I just kind of look like really white teeth, not white. I have black hair at the moment, so yes, it makes my darker skin look lighter by contrast. That's how lighting works. That's how colors work. So 3 things that I learned this week are that a lot of people think that I did this to look more professional, and I'll have you know that I think no matter what color my hair is, my demeanor will always be professional. I'm just saying, color is subjective. There was nothing unprofessional about my green hair. There was nothing unprofessional about my pink hair. It was just as much a part of me as my voice, my diction, my English, my personality, and it doesn't detract from any professional instances in my life. I can be just as professional and be more professional than the next bitch with pink hair. I'm addicted to a lot of music recently, so I'm contemplating making like a whole video, kind of like the clean your closet out at one, and the one when it was Thanksgiving and I did that montage at Walmart and Target. But like a whole video of that, but with different songs. And I don't know, I feel like that's exciting, and it's like putting out music in the world that I think is really good, that a lot more people should be listening to. So I'll try my hardest not to do pop songs because everyone listens to pop. And the 3rd thing that I learned this week is that, sometimes you should own more than one pair of good dress shoes, especially if you have a job where you have to dress professionally. 4 out of 5 days of the school week, you should probably invest in yourself. It's good to invest in yourself. That's the 3rd thing that I learned this week. So anyway, I'm sorry that I was a mess this week. I'm sorry that I keep uploading late. I'm gonna fix my life, or at least try to. So until next time, love each other, don't do drugs, make good decisions, don't die, yada yada, just keep swimming, yeah. And I'll see you guys next week. And my hair will probably still be black. So there's that. it's become a topic.